NEC Article 300.7 addresses the necessity of expansion joints in electrical raceways. This section of the code stipulates that expansion fittings and raceways must be implemented where there is a risk of physical damage to the raceway system and its conductors due to built-in movement, vibration, or expansion. The code further mandates that expansion joints be installed according to the manufacturer's guidelines. Essentially, the purpose of this code is to safeguard the electrical system's integrity by accommodating the natural movements that can occur in buildings or other structures. In situations where two buildings are constructed on separate slabs, such as the scenario described, the potential for differential movement between the two structures becomes a significant concern. These movements can arise from various factors, including soil settlement, temperature variations, and seismic activity. Without proper accommodation, these movements can exert considerable stress on the electrical conduit and conductors that bridge the gap between the buildings. The expansion joints serve as a flexible connection point within the raceway system. Their design allows for controlled movement along the conduit's axis, effectively absorbing the stresses induced by the relative motion of the two buildings. By incorporating expansion joints, the risk of conduit buckling, cracking, or complete separation is significantly reduced, protecting the conductors within from damage and ensuring the continued reliable operation of the electrical system. The 5-foot separation between the buildings further emphasizes the need for expansion joints. This distance provides ample opportunity for differential movement to occur, making the installation of expansion joints a prudent measure to mitigate potential damage. It is important to understand that expansion joints are not a universal requirement for all electrical installations. Their necessity is dictated by the specific conditions of the installation, particularly the likelihood of movement that could compromise the integrity of the raceway system. Factors such as the type of soil, the building's construction materials, the local climate, and the proximity to sources of vibration all contribute to the assessment of whether expansion joints are required. When determining the placement and spacing of expansion joints, it is crucial to consult the manufacturer's specifications. These specifications provide detailed guidance on the amount of movement that each joint can accommodate, as well as the proper installation techniques to ensure optimal performance. Ignoring these guidelines can result in ineffective protection and potential system failures. Moreover, it is advisable to consider the long-term effects of building movement on the electrical system. Even seemingly minor movements can accumulate over time, leading to significant stress on the conduit and conductors. By proactively installing expansion joints, you can prevent these cumulative effects from causing problems down the road. The NEC emphasis on expansion joints reflects the code's broader goal of ensuring electrical safety and reliability. By addressing the potential hazards associated with building movement, the code helps to protect people and property from electrical fires, shocks, and other dangers. In summary, Article 300.7 of the NEC provides the basis for requiring expansion joints. The specific circumstances of the installation, including the presence of separate building slabs and the potential for differential movement, determine whether expansion joints are necessary to comply with the code. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer to ensure that your electrical installations meet all applicable code requirements and provide adequate protection against building movement and other potential hazards. Now let's talk about the practical implications of not using expansion joints when they are needed. Firstly, physical damage to the EMT or electrical metallic tubing is likely. Without expansion joints, the EMT conduit is rigidly fixed between the two buildings. Any movement between the slabs will transfer stress directly to the conduit. This stress can cause the EMT to bend, buckle, or even break at the couplings or supports. Secondly, conductor damage becomes a concern. If the EMT conduit is damaged, the conductors inside are also at risk. Sharp bends or breaks in the conduit can damage the insulation of the conductors, leading to short circuits, ground faults, and potential electrical fires. Thirdly, there will be a loss of electrical service. Damaged conductors can cause a loss of power to the circuits they supply. This can disrupt critical building functions such as lighting, heating, and cooling. Fourthly, safety hazards can arise. Damaged electrical systems can create safety hazards for building occupants. Exposed conductors can pose a risk of electric shock, and arcing from short circuits can ignite flammable materials. Fifthly, there will be code violations. Failure to install expansion joints where required by the NEC is a violation of the electrical code. This can result in fines, penalties, and the need to redo the installation. Sixthly, increased maintenance costs will be incurred. Damaged electrical systems require repairs, which can be costly. The cost of repairing or replacing damaged conduit and conductors can quickly add up. Seventhly, reduced lifespan of the electrical system will be experienced. Continual stress from building movement can shorten the lifespan of the electrical system. Components that are not properly protected will fail prematurely, requiring more frequent replacements. Eighthly, liability issues can arise. If someone is injured or property is damaged due to a failure of the electrical system caused by lack of expansion joints, the building owner or contractor could be held liable. Ninthly, there may be insurance implications. Insurance companies may deny coverage for damages caused by electrical system failures that result from code violations. Tenthly, operational downtime will happen. Electrical system failures can cause downtime for businesses and other organizations. This downtime can result in lost revenue and productivity. Therefore, the seemingly small detail of expansion joints plays a crucial role in maintaining the safety, reliability, and longevity of an electrical installation, especially when dealing with separate building slabs that are prone to movement. Skipping this step to save money or time is short-sighted and can lead to far more significant problems down the road. Always adhere to the NEC and manufacturer's instructions when installing electrical systems to ensure a safe and compliant installation. Let's now look closer into NEC Article 300.70, which uses the words expansion joints and raceways shall be provided when necessary to prevent physical damage to the raceway system and conductors from building movement, vibration, or expansion. The key phrase is where necessary. It's not an automatic requirement for every installation. The decision to use expansion joints hinges on a careful assessment of the potential for movement. Firstly, consider thermal expansion. Temperature changes cause materials to expand and contract. Long runs of conduit, especially those exposed to direct sunlight or extreme temperatures, are particularly susceptible to thermal expansion. Secondly, consider building settlement. Over time, buildings can settle into the ground. If a building settles unevenly, it can create stress on the electrical system. Thirdly, consider seismic activity. In earthquake-prone areas, building movement is a major concern. Expansion joints are essential for protecting electrical systems from seismic damage. Fourthly, consider vibration. Buildings near highways, railroads, or industrial facilities may be subject to significant vibration. Vibration can loosen connections and damage conduit. Fifthly, consider soil conditions. Unstable soil can cause buildings to shift and move. This is especially true in areas with expansive clay soils. Sixthly, consider building design. The design of the building itself can influence the need for expansion joints. For example, large, open buildings are more susceptible to thermal expansion than small, compact buildings. Seventhly, consider the materials used. Different materials expand and contract at different rates. When dissimilar materials are used in an electrical system, expansion joints may be necessary to accommodate the differences in expansion rates. Eighthly, consider the length of the run. Long runs of conduit are more susceptible to movement than short runs. The longer the run, the greater the need for expansion joints. Ninthly, consider the type of raceway. Some types of raceway, such as rigid metal conduit, are more susceptible to damage from movement than others, such as electrical metallic tubing. Tenthly, consider the environmental conditions. Exposure to moisture, chemicals, or other corrosive substances can accelerate the deterioration of electrical systems and increase the need for expansion joints. So, the determination of where necessary involves a comprehensive evaluation of all these factors. It's not simply a matter of following a rigid rule. It requires sound engineering judgment and a thorough understanding of the potential risks. A qualified electrician or electrical engineer can assess these factors and determine whether expansion joints are needed to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system. Remember that the cost of installing expansion joints is typically far less than the cost of repairing damage caused by building movement. It's an investment in the long-term integrity of the electrical system. Let's delve deeper into the types of expansion joints and how they function. There are several types of expansion joints available for electrical conduit, each designed to accommodate different types and amounts of movement. Firstly, expansion couplings are the most common type of expansion joint. They consist of two telescoping sections of conduit that are joined together by a flexible sleeve. The sleeve allows the coupling to expand and contract as the conduit moves. Secondly, expansion fittings are similar to expansion couplings, but they are typically used in shorter runs of conduit. They also provide a flexible connection point that allows for movement. Thirdly, expansion deflection fittings are designed to accommodate both expansion and deflection in the conduit. They are often used in areas where there is a high risk of seismic activity. Fourthly, flexible metal conduit, also known as flex, can be used as an expansion joint in some situations. It provides a flexible connection that can absorb movement. Fifthly, expansion loops are loops of conduit that are installed in a run of conduit to provide flexibility. They are typically used in long runs of conduit where there is a high risk of thermal expansion. The specific type of expansion joint that is used will depend on the type of movement that needs to be accommodated, the amount of movement that is expected, and the size of the conduit. When selecting expansion joints, it is important to consider the following factors. Firstly, the amount of movement that the joint can accommodate. This is typically specified by the manufacturer. Secondly, the type of movement that the joint can accommodate. Some joints are designed to accommodate only expansion and contraction, while others can also accommodate deflection. Thirdly, the size of the conduit that the joint is compatible with. Fourthly, the materials that the joint is made of. The material should be compatible with the environment in which the joint will be installed. Fifthly, the manufacturer's specifications. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing expansion joints. Now let's talk about best practices for installing expansion joints. Proper installation is just as important as selecting the right type of expansion joint. Firstly, always follow the manufacturer's instructions. The manufacturer's instructions will provide detailed guidance on how to install the joint correctly. Secondly, ensure proper alignment. The conduit should be properly aligned before the expansion joint is installed. Misalignment can put stress on the joint and reduce its effectiveness. Thirdly, use the correct supports. The conduit should be properly supported on both sides of the expansion joint. This will help to prevent the conduit from sagging or bending. Fourthly, seal the joint properly. The expansion joint should be sealed to prevent moisture and debris from entering the conduit. Fifthly, inspect the joint regularly. Expansion joints should be inspected regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Look for signs of damage or wear, such as cracks or leaks. Sixthly, consider grounding and bonding. Ensure that the expansion joint does not compromise the grounding and bonding of the electrical system. Use appropriate bonding jumpers to maintain electrical continuity. Seventhly, protect from physical damage. Shield the expansion joint from potential physical damage, such as impact from vehicles or equipment. Use barriers or guards if necessary. Eighthly, provide adequate access. Ensure that the expansion joint is accessible for inspection and maintenance. Avoid burying it behind walls or ceilings. Ninthly, document the installation. Keep a record of the type, location, and installation date of each expansion joint. This will help with future maintenance and inspections. Tenthly, consult with a qualified professional. If you are not familiar with the installation of expansion joints, consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer. They can provide guidance on the selection, installation, and maintenance of expansion joints. Let's discuss grounding and bonding considerations when using expansion joints. Grounding and bonding are critical for electrical safety. They provide a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip circuit breakers and prevent electrical shock. When expansion joints are installed, it is important to ensure that the grounding and bonding of the electrical system is not compromised. Firstly, use bonding jumpers. Bonding jumpers are short lengths of wire that are used to connect the metal conduit on either side of the expansion joint. These jumpers provide a low impedance path for fault current to flow even when the expansion joint is expanded or contracted. Secondly, size the bonding jumpers correctly. The size of the bonding jumpers should be based on the size of the circuit conductors. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum size of bonding jumpers for different conductor sizes. Thirdly, install the bonding jumpers properly. The bonding jumper should be securely attached to the conduit on both sides of the expansion joint. Use appropriate connectors and hardware to ensure a reliable connection. Fourthly, consider using a grounding bushing. A grounding bushing is a special type of fitting that is used to connect the grounding conductor to the metal conduit. It provides a low impedance path for fault current to flow and helps to reduce the risk of electrical shock. Fifthly, inspect the grounding and bonding connections regularly. The grounding and bonding connections should be inspected regularly to ensure that they are in good condition. Look for signs of corrosion or damage. Sixthly, test the grounding and bonding system. The grounding and bonding system should be tested periodically to ensure that it is functioning properly. Use a ground impedance tester to measure the impedance of the grounding path. Seventhly, document the grounding and bonding connections. Keep a record of the location and size of all grounding and bonding conductors and connections. This will help with future maintenance and inspections. Eighthly, consult with a qualified professional. If you are not familiar with grounding and bonding requirements, consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer. They can provide guidance on the proper grounding and bonding techniques for your electrical system. It's important to remember that grounding and bonding requirements can vary depending on the specific application and local codes. Always consult with a qualified professional to ensure that your electrical system is properly grounded and bonded. Finally, consider the long-term maintenance of expansion joints. Like any other component of an electrical system, expansion joints require periodic maintenance to ensure that they continue to function properly. Firstly, inspect regularly. Expansion joints should be inspected regularly for signs of damage or wear. Look for cracks, leaks, or corrosion. Secondly, lubricate the joint. Some expansion joints require lubrication to ensure that they move freely. Consult the manufacturer's instructions for recommendations on lubrication. Thirdly, tighten connections. Check the connections in the expansion joint to ensure that they are tight. Loose connections can reduce the effectiveness of the joint. Fourthly, replace damaged parts. If any parts of the expansion joint are damaged, they should be replaced immediately. Fifthly, protect from the elements. Protect expansion joints from exposure to harsh weather conditions such as sunlight, rain, and snow. Use weather-resistant materials and coatings. Sixthly, keep them clean. Keep expansion joints clean and free of debris. Dirt and debris can interfere with the movement of the joint. Seventhly, document maintenance. Keep a record of all maintenance performed on expansion joint. This will help to track their performance and identify potential problems. Eighthly, consult with a qualified professional. If you are not familiar with the maintenance of expansion joints, consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer. They can provide guidance on proper maintenance techniques.